What if I told you that there's a job in tech where you don't need to code all day, but still shape how AI responds and even thinks, right? Well, this role is rapidly growing in demand, and companies like OpenAI, Google, and Meta are hiring for it right now. It's called prompt engineering. Well, if you're curious about how humans are training AI just by writing smart questions and commands, you're in the right place. So let's go deep into a job of a prompt engineer and uncover what they actually do and what skills you need and how you would fit into the broader AI workflow itself. So what is prompt engineering? Well, prompt engineering is the art and science of crafting inputs to large language models like GPT-4 to produce useful and accurate and safe outputs. Rather than coding in a traditional sense, right? Prompt engineers use natural language to guide AI systems in solving complex problems. It's like programming, right? But with words instead of code. That's all it is. This field sits at the intersection of artificial intelligence, linguistics, and product design. Now, prompt engineers are becoming key players in the AI development processes, and organizations realize how powerful a right prompt can be. What are the duties of a prompt engineer? Well, the prompt engineer actually do on a daily basis, right, on day-to-day work. Well, the role can vary depending on the company and product. The core responsibilities revolve around crafting, refining, and optimizing prompts for AI models. Now, a typical day might begin with a meeting to align the product team about a new feature or a customer need. For example, imagine a fintech company, right, is building an AI assistant that explains financial reports to small business owners. The prompt engineer is tasked with designing prompts that guide the AI to provide clear, accurate summaries in everyday language. Well, the engineer starts by understanding the objective, right? What is the user want? What is the context? And what are the constraints? Then, you experiment with different prompt styles, right? For example, one prompt might ask the model to summarize the quarterly reports in 2 paragraphs, while another says, explain this financial report to a non-expert business users in plain English. So you can run tests with various inputs, review the outputs, and then compare the clarity, tone, and accuracy of each result. Now, if the model hallucinates, by the way, or misunderstands key data, the engineer adjusts the prompt and adds context or sets output guidelines and format instructions for tone directives. Beyond testing, by the way, engineers also document best practices and build libraries for internal teams and collaborate with QA teams to validate model behavior. They may also spend time coaching customer support agents, by the way, and content creators how to write their own effective prompts using internal AI tools. Now, advanced teams, for example, a prompt engineer might prototype, right, workflows that can automate internal operations or content pipelines, all driven by carefully constructed language instructions. Now, this role requires constant testing and iterations, right? Creating dozens of prompts and find the one that reliably gets the best results. It's less about writing one perfect command and more about refining over time in discipline. Let's take a look at how the AI workflow works, right? Prompt engineers play an essential role in larger AI development workflow. Now, they're involved in a key point in the chain after the model has been selected or trained, but before it's deployed to the real users. Let's break it down with a real-world example. Let me give you that. Say a legal tech company is building an AI assistant, right, that reviews and summarizes legal contracts. Well, the project begins with data scientists choosing a powerful language model like GPT-4 or Claude. Now, these models are pre-trained on a vast amount of data, right? But they're not pre-aligned to any specific legal domain or user goal. So, that's where the prompt engineer comes in. Now, the job is to bridge the gap between what the AI is capable of and what the end user actually needs. They design prompts that instruct the model to identify clauses, highlight potential risks, and summarizes lengthy legal text into actionable insights. The workflow might look like that you can see, right? The data team suggests thousands of legal documents. The prompt engineer develops and tests prompt templates, such as highlight clauses related to non-disclosure agreements, and explain the implications in 100 words. And then the output is validated by legal experts, of course. Prompt engineer works closely with both sides, communicating with the developers to understand how the model functions under the hood, and with legal professionals how to ensure the output and how does it legally sound. You may also introduce safeguards, by the way, in the prompts, right, to reduce risks. For example, by adding a preface like "you're not a lawyer," right? Well, this is not legal advice. Now, this is a plain language summary based on the content below. Can help the model produce more ethical and context-aware responses. Now, in many cases, prompt engineers also provide feedback for fine-tuning future model iterations, right? Serving as a front line in collecting real-world performance data. Now, this makes the insight incredibly valid to model developers and product owners alike. So, in short, prompt engineers are the translators between business needs and model behavior, right? The work ensures that the AI systems is usable, useful, and aligned with human expectations right at the critical touch point of AI, the user experience. Now, why does this role matter more than anything else, right? Well, the AI models become more powerful, right? The risk of misuse, confusion, error also increases. Now, prompt engineers act as a buffer between the raw power of AI and the human experience. Now, they help ensure that the technology behaves as intended, whether it's empowering a chatbot, summarizing data, or answering critical business questions. They also help in reducing hallucinations, right, and increase reliability and tailor AI behavior in specific use cases, making the difference between mediocre AI tool and a game-changing one. Let me give you the 13 essential skills that are valuable. First is communication skills, strong understanding of language, tone, structure, and clarity. Then analytical thinking, the ability to evaluate AI outputs critically, measure results, and then inputs, right? Creativity, experimentation with different prompt styles and approaches. Problem solving, structured problem solving through language, logic, and critical thinking. You need to have skills in experimentation and reiteration, comfort with trying numerous prompt iterations, right, and refining over time. You must have knowledge of AI principles, understanding model behavior, NLP concepts, and how large language models work, right? Basically, like for example, ChatGPT, Gemini, and so on. You also need skills in prompt design techniques like zero-shot, Q-shot, or role-based, and chain-of-thought prompting. These are types. You also need to be proficient with the ability to document best practices, prompt variations, and build prompt libraries. Then we have collaborations and working effectively with product managers, developers, data scientists, just like as DevOps engineers do, right? Sounds similar, isn't it? You need to be adaptable, right? Continuous learning also as move forward, right? The main expertise has to have knowledge, for example, in a specific industry, you need to have knowledge of fintech or healthcare, right? Wherever you are. Coding and API integration, you need to have understanding of Python and APIs for integrating AI into broader systems, right? So, for example, awareness and implementation and safeguards through prompt design to ensure ethical AI behavior. That's an important one. Prompt engineers need strong communication skills, okay? Creativity, analytical thinking at the same time. Now, they should be comfortable with experimentation and iteration, often testing dozens and dozens of prompt variations to achieve optimal performance and results. You need to have knowledge of AI principles, model behavior, and like I said, NLP concepts is critical also. Well, not always required, right? But understanding basic coding and API integration is certainly a big advantage for your career. Domain expertise, networking skills, ability to document, communicate complex ideas, providing them in a simple manner are all essential. Now, as far as the executive leadership is concerned, you need to have deep understanding of AI landscape, talent management, visionary thinking, right? So this career path emphasizes adaptability and a blend of linguistic, analytical, and technical skills as the field of AI continues to evolve rapidly. Let me give you some real-world use cases of prompt engineering. Well, prompt engineers are already transforming industries as we speak. In customer service, for example, you're designing prompts that drive accurate chatbot responses, right? In healthcare, you're helping generate patient summaries or explain medical conditions. In law, you're prompting AI to review contracts and identify risks, right? In marketing, for example, you're crafting brand alignment copy, ads, and emails using AI. Now, these aren't theoretical applications, by the way. They're happening as we speak, and businesses are hiring specialists to actually do all of these. What about the job outlook, right? That's an exciting part. So prompt engineering is an emerging field, but the demand is surging. Now, according to current job listing in Glassdoor and ZipRecruiter, anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000, depending on your experience and domain expertise and company size. For example, tech companies, startups, and enterprise AI firms are all hiring for this role. Now, as generative AI becomes central to business operations, right, prompt engineers will be in high demand to make these tools reliable and effective. So what is the future of prompt engineering? So some believe that the models may require less prompting. The reality is that human-guided instruction will always be important for alignment, safety, and optimization. Now, the role may evolve into broader AI operations, right? Prompt optimization and AI product design is always going to be there. But the core value of guiding machine intelligence with human intent will certainly remain. Prompt engineering is not just a stepping stone, right? It's becoming a core profession in the AI landscape. So, here's the takeaway. The job of a prompt engineer is more than just writing clever questions, by the way, right? It's about bridging human goals and machine intelligence. Now, whether you're a developer, a content creator, or someone looking to break into the tech industry, understanding prompt engineering can open up an exciting career path in the world of AI. So, if you found this breakdown helpful, make sure you give it a like and place some comments below so that I can answer your questions as we move forward. So if you're thinking of becoming a prompt engineer, then check out our other tutorials at ClayDesk so you can learn more. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.